Hello YouTubers, welcome to another video. This is the first vinyl purchases of 2018. They are taken from a trip to Uppsala. Since I made the last video I have reached 1,000 subscribers, and wow, that's cool. It only took 8 years to get there, but better late than never or ever. Right. Yeah, I took a trip to Uppsala and bought some nice records when I had some days off from before getting back to work. And now I've listened through them all and thought, why not do a bit of a show and tell here? First of all, I like to mention that maybe a year ago I made a Swedish version of a Russian song composed by what's this called? Vladimir Shansky, who passed away recently. And I made a English version of a Russian song called, and my version was called "Raining on My Birthday." And I remember hearing this as a child with Emma Numinen, who I talked about in the previous video. He made a Swedish version of it called När jag spelar på mitt dragspel, and the Swedish lyrics are by Mats Hulden. And I thought, well, I would like to really find that record and listen to it again, and so I did. It's called Forskarlevisor with Emma Numinen and the Swedish female singer Turid Lundqvist, a bit of a forgotten star here in Sweden. And yeah, from 1978, quite good. Nothing really more to say, but it was fun to hear it again. I heard it when I was a kid. And there's a children's choir singing too. I couldn't have managed to get that on my version, but never mind. Alright, over to two records that I didn't buy in Uppsala. Well, recently there's been the movie premiere of the life of Ted Gärdestad. I've talked about him before in the previous video about trying to get hold of some of his albums. A year ago, or I think it was a year ago in 2017, the arranger Peter Nordahl made a record with the voice of Ted Gärdestad, the recorded voice of Ted Gärdestad, and added the symphony orchestra. Yeah, the same way they've been doing with Roy Orbison and Elvis Presley lately. With Elvis Presley, it was it didn't really add anything. With Roy Orbison, I think it was fine. But what do we think about this? Well, when it comes to the early recordings of Ted Gärdestad from the 70s, they were, well, there he was accompanied by the Swedish musician Pop Elite, the same musicians that would play on the ABBA records. So why remove them? And also they removed the kind of reverb echo they had on his voice, and in some way it sounds a bit strange when you hear Ted Gärdestad's very young voice to this symphony orchestra. I'm not sure I think it really adds anything. It works better on his later recordings from the early 90s, but still I rather listen to the originals. Sorry Peter Nordahl, but that's how I feel. Right, then we have Ted Gärdestad's last album, Äntligen på väg, that was issued in 1994 on CD, of course. But now, of course, since the movie about him has been released in the movie theaters, his old records have been reissued on vinyl. Most of them rather easy to find, the originals fairly easy, but this one I got because it hasn't been issued on vinyl before. And it's a lovely album, it's a lovely comeback album, and it's such a pity that there wouldn't be much more of his music. He died 3 years later on his own hand. Right, let's continue then. I found some tango records. Well, some tango. I found 2 tango records anyway. Argentinian tango. First one with Oscar Guidini, who plays on Band Neon, this Argentinian tango accordion instrument. Very nice, lovely, real Argentinian tango, and yeah, could listen to that forever. And then we have Valeria Munariz, which is this is vocal tango, also from Australia, Argentina, Australian tango. Yeah, that would be something. Well recorded, French issue. This is a German issue, so they are not original Argentinian issues, so to speak. But never mind. You'd rarely find Argentinian tango on LPs here in Sweden, so I'm very happy that I did. Also, we have here the first record by Lucha Reyes, which I think was a Peruvian singer. This is the first album. She was very, very good and very popular for a couple of years. This is from 1970. Alas, she had bad health and died very early in 1973. This has been dedicated to a Swedish couple from somebody called, I think it's Miguel. I'm not going to name the name of the Swedish couple. So it's been given as a gift, probably by this Peruvian guy called Miguel. And that's a lovely gift, I think, to give a piece of your country's great music. The big problem was that the inner sleeve had never been opened. It was sealed. It was still sealed. So the couple never listened to this record. And that, I think, was a bit rude. They should have at least listened once. And it is a good record. She was a great singer. Great music. And a pity that she passed away early, just 3 years after this was issued. Okay. Oh yeah. Over to some American soul. I found this, Junior Walker and the All-Stars, Agas, on the soul label from 1970. Really groovy, great to listen to. Glad I found it. And it wasn't that expensive either. Okay, let's see if I can reorganize these. Yeah. I found LaBelle's first album, not Patti LaBelle, the group LaBelle, some months ago. I'm not really a fan of Patti LaBelle, but I liked the first album that was just called LaBelle. So I thought, okay, I might give the early LaBelle some more chances. And then I found this, I think it's from 1973 or 75, something like that. LaBelle, Pressure Cooking. And it's nice, but it didn't really grab me the way that the first LaBelle album grabbed me. This is nice soul, a bit on the soft side. It doesn't really have the punch that I would like to really enjoy the soul music. It's a bit on the soft side, but well sung, of course. It's on RCA. It's a British RCA, LaBelle. Okay, over to a Swedish-American corporation from late 60s, King George Discovery. It's George Clemens, who was in Sweden for a couple of years, first with a group, the Harlem Kiddies, and then later he formed the group King George Discovery. They didn't last that long, and they made one album, and it's this one on the Haparanda label, the one connected to Bloom Green Group that I've been talking about before. I now know that the owner of the Haparanda label was called, I think it was called Arne Larsson, but that doesn't really help me that much. Anyway, this is a fairly common record, but it's difficult to find in great condition. George Clemens is superb singer, but somehow it feels a bit pale when you listen to some of the other material that he's been doing, and I don't know. It's okay, but not more. Okay, then we're going to have a look at the last records, and they are all reissues. First, we have a reissue of a record that I've been wanting to have for many years, Råg i ryggen. Progressive rock band from the 1970s. They made this album for the label Rondo, which was a smaller label connected to EMI in the mid 70s. This is a reissue on the Altercat label. The singer Jonas Warnerbring is the son of the Swedish legend Östen Warnerbring, but we have some great musicians in this group, like the guitar players Björn Nyström and Jan Aggemyr, and some really good songs. I guess it didn't sell that incredibly well back then, but it's been one of the most sought after records, and now it's available on a good reissue, and I'm glad I found it. Then we have two reissues on the Finnish Svart record label, and it's two of Pekka Pojala's albums. This first one, let's see if I can slaughter the title here. I think it's his first solo album, or one of the first, I'm not sure, it's an early one. Pikka silmä karnakurva. I'm sorry, Finland. I'm sorry that you had to experience that. Anyway, it's great jazz rock from the early 70s, and it's on the Svart record label, and it's very nice, lovely blue vinyl. Svart records, their reissues are always in a fantastic quality. So, and of course, there's so much good music that comes from Finland, and I've re-experienced a lot of it through these Svart Records issues. Okay, the other one is Visitation, and I think this is recorded, well, it's recorded a couple of years later in 1979, and it's also progressive jazz rock or whatever, and it's also 45 RPM. So you can play it on 45. It's supposed to be. It says 45 RPM. So, and it's on clear vinyl. Okay, and then the last one. I showed that already in the last video where I was supposed to talk about a record that not that many people have. And it's this Cement, Utmaningen, Gotland rock group, originally recorded on a cassette back in the late 70s and sold, I think, 100 copies in local, well, gas station stores and so on. Wasn't a big hit, but also if you just print 100 copies, I don't know. And this is a reissue made by Shadox Music. I think that's a German record label, and this is true masterpiece. It's printed in 400 copies, pressed in 400 copies. So it might soon be a bit tricky to get hold of one of these. But if you find it, get it. Even if you find it a bit pricey, get it. It's superb. It's superb Swedish progressive hard rock in the style of groups like November. Great songs, really amazing guitar playing, and well, great musicianship altogether. And as I said, this might be soon a bit difficult to find this because many people want it and it's a limited edition. Right, well. That's all for today. I hope some of you found this somewhat interesting, and for now I wish you bye bye.